What do you get when you have a homeless runaway that becomes an AI pioneer, international business leader, musician, sailor, and award-winning thrilling author? What you're going to get is my next guest. Today, we're talking about his nonfiction book, The AI Tsunami. AI is all the rave right now. A lot of questions, a lot of fears, rational and irrational. We're going to talk about how artificial intelligence and what it means for humanity, business, leadership, and all of us. Let's welcome Guy Morris to the flagship. Guy, good to have you here, sir. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure's mine. I'm excited about the conversation. We are in a place where AI is something that we just constantly talking about everywhere, it seems. Had a friend I just talked to today. His business is radically affected by AI already. Before we even got into the fullness of what it could be, he had to totally adjust his business to accommodate for the changes with that. So I want to get into that definitely for those that are watching and listening who may have some concerns about what AI looks like for the future. But I love your story, man. It kind of starts in a place where you've almost become unrecognizable to your own self. You've had so many things that going on in your life, and you've escaped incredible situations, and you made a life for yourself and a success for yourself, man. What was it, would you say, Guy, that was inside of you, in your opinion, that refused to let your circumstances become your identity? What do you think it was that made you continue to fight and press through that, man?
I don't know if any of us really ever know that entirely. I think there was a certain part of me for the longest time that I kept telling myself that I can't let my past define my future. That I was going to, whether I was going to fail or not, it was going to be my failure and my success. That at 13, I realized that there was nobody in my family, in my life, that anywhere that I knew that could take care of those needs, who could give me a better life, who could send me to school, who could do any of the things I needed, provide the guidance. And that no matter what it was, I had to be self-reliant. If whatever I wanted out of life, the only person, I couldn't look to the government, I couldn't look to anybody. I just had to look in the mirror and say, what are you willing to do? And what are you willing to sacrifice? And start there.
I like it, man. I think you've done something uniquely incredible to me. I've had many folks over the past 6 years that's been on this show that had life-changing stories. I love that. It sounds like what I ascertained from your story is that you got out of survival mode and began to start designing the life you were looking for. Can you pinpoint the moment when that started to happen?
Well, the pinpoint it started to happen versus the transition before. It's still in process.
Fair enough.
I think when I was pushed out, when I realized that I had to leave home or die, that was certainly a part of that. But I think there was another part. When I was on the street, there was one. I'd gotten in a kind of a gang situation in South Koreatown in LA, and I wound up getting my only decent clothes I had kind of ruined and bloody. And on the way home, I was followed by, we used to call them the Jesus freaks at the time, and had a spiritual experience right there in a dirty street corner, alley, little street curb. And that was a pivotal point because it started giving me the idea that it was okay to hope. And rather than just giving in to the despair, that somehow that gave me the okay to try to hope. And about a year later, actually about 6 months later, I had a GED by that point, and I was maybe 15, and I packed up everything I had in a little tiny World War II military knapsack, and hitchhiked to Tucson and joined a Christian commune. I didn't last very long because I wasn't really the commune type, but it started my roots of trying to rethink what my life could be. And that was, I think, the pivot point that at least, is a lifelong process, but that I think was
absolutely. even when you get out of survival mode, you still gotta continue to build. There's no one size fits all with that. So I totally get
Well,
that.
and in fact, it wouldn't be until I dealt with addiction and multiple levels of addiction and chronic depression and hyperanxiety and hypervigilance and social issues for decades. And it wouldn't be until my late 50s that I would be diagnosed with complex PTSD. And so I wasn't. It was hard to kind of deal with the problem when I didn't understand what the problem was.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. What I understand, you were involved with early AI systems, I guess, long before we saw the explosion that we see now. So that probably means, from a technical standpoint, you kind of walk through multiple technological phases.
Many ways. Yeah, it was a constant. Yeah. What's new this week?
Yeah.
Can I use that in my business, and how much money do I have to experiment? It started actually in college. I had multiple degrees. One of them was an economics degree, and to graduate, I had to build an economic model. This is basically a computer model full of all kinds of layered algorithms and formulas and massive amounts of data to try to predict, future gross national product, unemployment, interest rates. It's the kind of thing that business and the governments basically thrive on, trying to figure out what those predictions are, right, to get it right. And at the time in the late 70s, nobody was getting it right. They were getting worse. The models that used to be decent were getting worse. And I was out of money. At that point, I really wanted to go to grad school. And so I made a bet with the dean of the college. I said, if I can create my model, I have a theory that's not proven, but I think if I can prove my theory, if I can create my model that beats everybody in the school, would you consider me for a scholarship? And he was non-committal. He says, well, I can't really make promises like that, but we'll see. And so I spent obscene amounts of time building this model, like months and months and months, several months, like from midnight to like 8 a.m. working in the computer center because nobody else was there at that time, right? I could use I didn't have to wait in line. And the model, and when I was done, it not only out forecast everybody in the school, but it out forecast everybody on the planet, including the Federal Reserve. And it changed the way that I proved the theory, and that changed the way we build economic models to this day. And the theory had to do with the tracking and predicting the productivity value of technology sales. So you might just buy a computer and you buy software that hits the economy, that's registered, but that then might enable you to start a business or improve your productivity. If there's an economic value to that technology sale. And I was the first guy to build layered, non-linear and lasso regression algorithms to predict it accurately.
Don't lose us now with the big scientific talk. I know you understand that stuff better than we do, but don't forget about us out here. We don't understand all of those things. And keep that in mind.
Nerdzilla was born. Nerdzilla.
Okay.
Nerdzilla.
That's totally fine. I'm a nerd myself, so I get it. I think I understand some things. But
yeah. But I was writing some of the basic types of things that we build AI on today. I was one of the pioneers trying to write the early ones.
Fair enough.
But we had to do it back then. We had to do it by hand.
Fair enough. So because we as humanity have had so many opportunities to deal with, I'll just call them technological advancements. Mm-hmm. How do you feel personally about how we're handling this particular AI revolution? Do you think we're making the same mistakes we made in the past? Do you think we're doing things better? What's your assessment of it?
Well, I certainly think we're making some of the same mistakes past, but we're actually making some new ones along the way. And in part because this is a new set of paradigms that we've never had to deal with before. Okay. So we've gone through a paradigm where we've gone through a revolutionary change in productivity from the analog world to the PC computer world. Major changes. We've all the experience. We're all living the benefits. Us talking together right now are the benefits of that revolution, right? And that's been going on since the 60s, 70s, really took off in the 80s and 90s. And so those things are good. I believe in technology. I spent my entire career helping organizations and governments and consulting and businesses get better at what they did by employing technology into the enterprise in um, smart ways. But there's a difference between what we were building then and what we're building now. What we're building then always had to have somebody at the keyboard using the logical intelligence to know how to use the tools to produce what they wanted. What we're building now is a new paradigm for the human development in which it doesn't need to be anybody at the keyboard. The machine, there's three things that are different with AI that are different from any technology we've ever built, ever. AI will become smarter than any human on the planet if it's not already there in the lab. And I predicted this in 2018. My first book warning about it was in 2020. And lo and behold, we've already, within less than a decade, we're there. Two, AI will replicate itself. The old Jurassic Park joke, right? Life will find a way. Well, the current version of Claude is already 80% written and tested by Claude. And we're only probably less than a year away from a model that will have what we call recursive self-improvement, which means the AI takes over the process of improving and growing itself. And it will replicate itself as part of that process. And they're already replicating themselves today as part of other schemes that they're doing. So AI will replicate. And three, the only technology we've ever developed that we're actually training to target and kill humans without another human making that decision.
All right, we're getting deep. So I want to try to hit this with a more of a rapid fire approach, guy, because there's several questions I want to ask you, and I recognize how much time we have left in the show. So I want to find out a few things from you. So I'm gonna hit you with the rapid fire questions. Do the best you can with the responses on this.
I'll try my best.
Because your book is called The AI Tsunami, which is a fantastic name. The AI Tsunami, A Survival Guide for Humanity. Mm-hmm. What do you believe is coming that individuals, businesses, and even governments are not adequately prepared for? What do you think we're talking about now?
Well, there's a lot of layers. And one of the things that we're not adequately prepared for is actually how to manage the risks. And we're not doing a good job at regulating, defining on those guardrails, restricting the implementation and the access to these technologies so that any sociopathic billionaire, any drug lord, any crime lord, any dictator is using these technologies. And there's already a black market for malicious AI products to write malicious code, AI to write malicious code, AI to crack software, AI to crack computers, AI in weapons. So we've already developed a black market. This is the most powerful technology we have. We're not being careful with it. From an individual perspective, there's a number of things we look at the book, which is we look at the good, bad, and the existential ugly. You can't take advantage of the opportunities if you're also not aware of the risks. And so we take a balanced approach. We say that this is a wave that's coming. You can't stop it, so don't try to pretend it's not going to happen. Don't bury your head because it's the people who stand on the beach watching the waters flow out that hurt the worst, right? This is the time to be aware of what the risks are and what the opportunities are, and to make your decisions about how you're going to survive all of that, to be proactive decisions rather than reactive decisions. I was in the industry for years when I saw people who lost their jobs and because they waited too long to do something about what they saw coming.
Fair enough. So we know big corporations have the means to handle the change in the nature of the work. What are you saying to the small business owner? What should they be doing right now? They don't have the resources of a Fortune 500 company. What should small business owners be doing right now to, I guess, mitigate what's getting ready to happen?
Starting to think first off about what your strategy is going to be. What do you want AI to do for your business that's unique to your business? Is it improve your competitive advantage, reinforce your competitive advantage? Is it reduce your time to get new products to market? Is it about marketing and promotion? You need to think strategically first. Do not just jump in and start adding AI technologies to your existing tasks. You will wind up burning through a lot of token money without a lot of long-term benefits and results. So this is a strategic opportunity rather than a tag-on opportunity. You need to think about things like, do you have your data center ready to accumulate all the data this will generate that'll help you in the process? You need to think about setting up a pilot project first and defining how you're going to measure success. So it's all about thinking about this as not just a quick fix, but a strategic change to how you actually operate your business.
Right. Good stuff, sir. So, in your opinion, man, what's the biggest misconception that regular people who are not in-depthly knowledgeable about AI, what's the biggest misconception that they have about AI right now?
That somehow all AI are the same and it's one monolithic model. And in fact, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different models. Some of them been in use for years. They're called narrow intelligence. They have very, very little risks. And many of the risks that we're seeing are in the more complicated models. And that will deal less with how an individual operates their life as more than how the governments and enterprises and banks will operate the systems around us and over us. And so there are risks. But the one thing I tell every individual is, if you're using biometric technology for your security, your facial recognition, thumbprint, iris scan, delete the information, refresh it, make sure it's gone, make sure that trash can's deleted, go back to passwords. And here's why. Facial recognition is the one thing, part of your identity, that you could never replace if it's stolen or hacked. In 2001, 2.1 million people were part of the Clearview facial recognition, which gets people through the airport. So these are mainly executives and government workers, and they were hacked. All 2.1 million of those identities were sold on the dark web. So if you lose your password, if you get your password stolen, that's a pain in the butt, but you can replace it. You can reset it. If you get your facial identity, if you get your biometrics stolen, you'll never be able to get that aspect of your identity back.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. It's pretty scary stuff. This is the part of our show where before we end the show, we ask what I call a mirror check question. It's an opportunity for our guests to speak to the people almost directly. If AI is going to fundamentally change the world that we live in, which it appears that that's what's happening, what responsibility does ordinary people have to decide what kind of world they're going to actually create? Speak to the people who are watching and listening, or will catch this on replay, that may not be as well versed in AI as you are. They may be employees of a company, or maybe they're entrepreneurs and business owners. Speak to one or both of them as briefly as you can within the next 120 seconds or so, and speak to them about what they should be doing, how they should be thinking, what kind of steps should they be taking to kind of prepare for this next wave, as you call it. Go ahead.
Actually, the book AI Tsunami is targeted exactly toward those individuals. Professionals, individuals who are trying to understand more, small and medium businesses who don't have a lot of resources, to help you understand in simple terms where the technology came from, where it's going, what the technology risks are, what the human risks are, what's the good, bad, the existential, ugly potential of it, and then how to carve out the things that are important to you, how to carve out your options and your opportunities while protecting yourself and your family, because you need to do both. And what I offer the reader is the ability to make those choices on a intentional, on a proactive, on a life choice basis, rather than waiting for something to happen to you and you have to respond.
I love it. I love it. You have your information up on the screen so people can find you and your work, Guy. GuyMorrisBooks.com. Real quick before we close out, what can people expect to find when they go to this site, GuyMorrisBooks.com? What can they find when they get there, Guy?
Well, besides my latest book, The AI Tsunami, you'll find another nonfiction on prophecy analytics, but then mostly you'll find my 4 multiple award winning thrillers. I've been compared to Dan Brown, Michael Crichton, Robert Ludlum, Gold Awards, Silver Awards, Literary Excellence, Impact Awards, Author of the Year. Great thrillers, all inspired by true technology, politics, and religion. But so think of it as the high tech wow of a James Bond Q, the velocity of a Mission Impossible, religious mysteries of a Da Vinci Code, but the humor of an Indiana Jones.
Well, I like the Da Vinci Code a lot, so that's pretty powerful. God, thanks for jumping in here, man, and sharing some of your knowledge with us, man. I know that people are going to find it insightful. I think some of it is a little scary for some of us, but I'm excited to hear more from you going forward. GuyMorrisBooks.com, where people can find your work and connect with you. Thanks for being here, brother, and sharing so much of your story and your testimony with us, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure is mine. If this episode resonates with you, if you've been wondering what AI means for your career, your business, your family, or the future you're building, don't just consume the headlines. Share the episode with somebody who needs to be thinking about the future before the future actually arrives at their doorstep. Maybe somebody who's thinking about their career and their business and their family, and they're concerned about what comes next. Reach out to GuyMorrisBooks.com. He has a lot of insight. He's been ground floor before we hit this AI wave that we're in right now. He knows what he's talking about. Reach out to him. Of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/They Call Me Mr. U. It's the name of our show, or wherever you get your podcast from. Love to hear from you guys. And please don't forget, most importantly, don't forget, the difference between who you are and who you could be is found in what you do every single day. Thanks for watching and listening. That's Guy Morris. His book is The AI Tsunami, A Survival Guide for Humanity. And I'm Mr. U. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a good